This is Flow. This is going to be our workflow segment. I have my friend Franklin Lei here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
He's going to show us how he makes these cute little GIFs on Procreate for the iPad. If you're not familiar with Procreate, it's this really cheap app that gives you amazing tools to make some killer digital stuff. Frank, if you'd want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Franklin. I've been working as a digital artist for about 10 years, and I'm currently working at a gaming company as a mobile gaming artist. And I've discovered Procreate to sort of take my work on the go. It's been really fun just creating pieces, especially when I'm on the bus commuting to and from work, which I sorely miss. It's been such a long time since I've taken the bus. I like to sketch people on the bus. The great thing about sketching on the iPad and with Procreate is you're able to create something right then and there. And then latest, Procreate 5, they updated with the animation feature. And I've been playing around with that, and I discovered some little tips and tricks to kind of help speed up the workflow. A little disclaimer, I'm not too much of an animator, but Procreate 5 has really encouraged me to explore animating, and I've been creating fun little GIFs and loops for Instagram, and I'd like to share some of that with you guys. So obviously, let's start off with the bus sketch, and once in a while you hit a unicorn and you see another person sketching on the bus. Of course, I have to sketch this person down. So I painted this person up. It took roughly about 30 to 40 minutes to get a good base down, and then I'll take it home to animate it out. So let's play this animation real quick. So you can see, I'm just observing him, observing someone else. Very meta, very Inception. Yeah, so awesome. That's super funny. It's always great to see another artist, just seeing people in the wild, out in the field. But my typical bus routine, I see people on their phones, which is totally fine because they're very unaware that they're modeling for me. And it's been fun, and then just watching what they do. And I like to capture these little slice of life moments, and it's just really fun to it makes commuting really easy and really fast, right? So
what do you do when somebody catches you drawing them?
Assert confidence. And it's a lot of just there's no shame. I'm not taking creepy pictures. I'm drawing. And it's just sometimes people come over and they want to check it out. It's kind of cool. They're just wow, this is cool. And then I actually do, talk a little bit. I do meet strangers, and it's really cool to strike up a conversation with them on the bus too. So yeah, just here's some of my non-bus animation and sketches. I like to paint up little illustrations and just add a little bit of ambiance just to give it a tiny bit of life. So it's a lot of really fun just things to explore. And what I've noticed through just animating on Procreate, there are some limitations, there are some certain things that you kind of have to do to explore out the whole function. It's very rudimentary right now, but the limitations that it has challenges to it really pushes you to utilize the tools even more as much as possible.
Awesome.
And obviously animation takes time. So the amount of hours I spent into it equals seconds to show. So that's one thing about animation. And I've really enjoyed it so far, and I'm a painter at heart, but anytime I see professional animators bring to life any of my creations, or they just seem like magicians to me, and I'm man, I just want to steal a little bit of that magic, man. And just to see how they do it.
I love this frog so much. It's so good.
Yeah.
Especially with the rocks bouncing there,
Yeah, the little bounce, the little extra bounce on the rock.
Yeah, dude. Just it's a nice little touch.
So, I mean, this frog was really fun. And then there's this sketch daily thing that I did of Darkwing Duck.
Dude,
and
classic.
Very classic.
Classic. Yeah.
You know, did a little crossover with Batman,
Yeah.
the animated series.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Childhood favorite.
Oh, dude. I miss Darkwing. Throwback.
Oh, yeah. And then I love boba, so like, why not animate some boba? It's really...
What?
This one was like more of my ambitious ones, where I'm trying to think of like, okay, maybe there's a story element to it. You know, when you're drinking boba, sometimes you're not paying attention. You're just trying to like catch that straw, but it's very elusive. So, and these are little fun loops that I just enjoy creating and painting. And I also like, you know, a little bit of my past. Like, I do a little bit Dragon Boat back then, and then like just this is a fun callback moment to like back in my paddling days.
Yeah, you're a dragon boater.
Yeah.
That's right.
And a lot of shout out to all the San Francisco Dragon Boat teams.
Yeah. San Francisco local.
Yeah.
Born and
local.
raised, right?
Yep.
Sick.
And I do a lot of like painting outdoors in San Francisco. So, so for the locals, you probably recognize this place, Land's End over at Sutro's Bath. And I do oil painting outdoors, no plein air painting. But I like to do a little study afterwards on the iPad just to like just get a little refresher and relive that day and capture that moment with some like animation.
That's awesome.
And it just creates
Your
like so
reflections
much
in
more.
the water there were.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of tips and tricks on that too, with liquefying in Procreate.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to steal that.
Yeah, and it's the same thing right here with a little bit of like a little of that wind and gust feeling.
Wow.
And then there's a little bit of like frame by frame action, but then a lot of it is just like duplicating and just pulling pieces back and forth. So it's really cool to like just explore like different functionality, because mainly Procreate is a painting tool, and you have like, it's almost like Photoshop Lite, but I prefer it more than Photoshop right now.
Yeah.
Just because you could take it on the go.
Yeah, I mean, accessibility is key.
Yeah, so we get started.
Yeah.
And
guys, if you have any questions or anything, please type into the chat. This is what I'm here for.
Yes, Rob, the moderator.
Yeah.
So while I'm like, I can't multitask that well, so he's going to help me filter through
Two different
things.
sides of the brain. So
Yeah.
please ask all the questions.
Yeah, so let's first of all, let's explore how to get started in Procreate to get into the animation function. So let's say I just came back from camping, and I felt like animating a little fiery campfire right here, sort of semi-inspired by Calcifer from Howl's Moving Castle, right? A little jiggly shout out right there. So the first thing I do is like sketch up a little campfire, and you can work in layers in Procreate. So that's one of the most powerful things in Procreate. Now to function, like to get access to animation, you go to this little gear icon up there, and there's this little thing called Animation Assist. Once you turn that on, you have a little timeline up here. Now, the cool thing about this timeline is there are certain things you can do in here within the timeline. All that is shown through settings, and you could adjust frames per second. Let's turn off onion skin for now. But for the people who are more savvy, this is where onion skin is a term in to like show your future layers back and forth. So then, like when you're animating between frames,
like
it's kind of yeah. So it's an onion skinning is a term that they used for just seeing like back and forth. So like when you're turning the page, like as the old masters would do. In this case, you have a layer like before and after, and you can kind of adjust the range of the onion skin too, like to like have like one before and after, or like two, and so forth.
Cool. I learned today.
Yeah. And yeah, there's some things that you can do with, let's say like we could add like a little happy face, and then there's a cool thing you can do for animating this is when you're doing certain elements, you have a background and you have a foreground element that you could turn on, and then you have everything in between. So kind of everything in between is the stuff that you're animating, and the background and foreground, you kind of like have that layer and lock in. So there are many ways to utilize the background and foreground. The foreground element, so I could have that as where my guides are to like sort of just like figure out a path of like how I'm going to animate the fire, like how it's going to move. I'm still learning VFX, so this is something that I'm really interested in, and I'm trying to figure out, a lot of times I look online for references and resources to like figure out how to exactly do other people do this. And anytime I'm approaching painting or animation, I always look up for references.
Yeah, always look at a reference.
Yeah, I could do it from my head, it'll just come out crappy, that's it.
I'm sure it's not gonna come out crappy. This guy's
But yeah,
too humble.
as an amateur animator, I definitely need to look at references. I did this one real quick, and yeah, definitely when you have the timeline available right here, you can actually add like frame by frame by frame. So each frame is kind of like a new frame that you could draw on to like continue creating the animation that you want.
Can you move your hand just a little? Yeah.
There you go.
Just choke up on the pen. There we go.
So, you know, you could draw the next frame. And since I don't have my reference with me, I'm just making stuff up right now. But good thing is I already had this flame pre-drawn with a sketch. So a good thing is you could scrub through by dragging the little timeline on the bottom to see. And what I learned from all the friends and other animators that have taught me and gave me tips is animation is kind of like a patient sort of like process where you have to go back and forth. It's a lot of finding and fixing, trial and error. And
fine-tuning.
Yeah, a lot of fine-tuning. And it's not per frame by frame, but it's the motion of it that makes it feel. Like if anything feels off, you had to play it through to like find out, okay, what's popping, what's like snapping too fast or so forth. And it takes a long time. Now so as you can see, like when you're creating frames over here, you can actually see the frames get added, and it gets added here onto your layers panel. So let's delete those. I'm gonna bring up all the frames that I did earlier. And yeah, let's say this is my little animation right now. Delete that real quick. So this is a little looping campfire. Very happy.
That's cute.
Yeah. And the next thing is you want to start coloring it, of course. But then like, of course, with this one, this is a really rough animation. You want to fine tune it until it feels smooth, until what your preference is.
I do have a question from Justin. He's asking if you use the background and foreground as layers, just as guides, and then do you churn those off for the final animation?
Yeah, definitely. So like the background and foreground are great guides for, especially when you're trying to figure out, okay, I could just choose a random, really bright color. Like if I had a ball in the center, and what I learned is, you could find out your pathing of things, and then it'll stay persistent throughout, like all the frames. So that's the cool thing about that. I use that a lot in like a path of an ember, or like maybe how this little like spark flies off, and you just add a little bit of pathing. And definitely turn it off the layer in your final animation, or else it's gonna just stay on top. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Justin.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin, for the question.
Yeah. Now next,
Also, can somebody let somebody in? Thank you.
oh yeah,
Sorry.
no problem. So this is right now a very crude animation, and let's say I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm satisfied. It's as smooth as I'm gonna get it. Because at a certain point, you're gonna just keep working at it until it's perfect, and it's never gonna be perfect. But for the sake of demoing purposes, let's just move forward, and we could just start start coloring.
Yeah.
So now one thing is, there are different ways to sort of color, and then I'll show you all these various methods.
Justin said thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Justin. Another great thing about foreground is when you're coloring. So I'll use it as a guide to put in my color swatches. And usually I just use with the hard brush. Let's do that. So I made a group. That's one thing that how a frame operates is if it's within a group, it counts as a frame. If it's just like a layer outside a group, it counts as a frame.
Wait, so you don't even so each frame. So if you just group something, then it'll just automatically go into a frame?
Yeah, automatically you consolidate everything into a frame.
Awesome.
So what I use that as is like all my guides could be within one group, and I could just turn it on and off. So let's say, a fire. You could just have that brighter. These are some of the fire colors when it's burning bright. Now this is my guide layer, so let me show that real quick. It's gonna stay persistent on top, so then I can always color pick from there.
It's like having your palette when you're painting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like squeezing out the paints. Exactly.
Without the mess.
Yeah, without the mess, easy cleanup, don't have to worry about it. Now, a good thing is you could group it together. So you see that this is my first layer that I want to color. Underneath it is a blank layer. Then that means when I group those two layers together, it turns into a single frame again. Versus like before, it was like two frames. One blank frame and one, your sketch.
Ah, got it.
So I group it together.
And then it goes into one frame.
Yeah, it goes into one frame. I start coloring it in. So like for the sake of like, you go like this, and it's gonna turn down the opacity of your sketch just a little bit. And then, it's like a coloring book. Now you get to have a little fun.
Nice.
Just filling it in.
Come on.
To the best of your abilities. Stay within the lines, I guess.
Yeah,
but
this little coloring demo, sweet.
Yeah, it's a quick thing about Procreate. One cool thing is like once you have that sort of encased, you can take that same color and you just drag it down and just fill it up.
Boom.
So makes things quick and easy. It's like a little tip to help you speed through your workflow, which is Flow, our little demo right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, same thing. What I also do is, another way I do coloring is I do onion skin. I turn it on for one frame, right? So I have that layer that I want to color for this particular one sketch. And I add another frame underneath, so then it gives me a buffer, because like what's happening is I have onion skin within the range of one. So this layer picks up one ahead and then another one behind, but I don't want to pick up that one. So I'm working in this one to start coloring. So this is just another method that I discovered that it might be faster. And again, it's the same thing. I'm coloring, filling in the lines. Just dragging and dropping. Here's a little amber part. Drag and drop over there. right? So that's a solid red color, which is essentially the same thing as this.
Okay.
But one other thing I do instead is I tap over here on the sketch, which I'm using as a guide.
Okay.
I do clipping mask, so it clips onto this frame right here. Now, it's not in a group anymore.
Can you explain clipping mask?
Yeah, so clipping masks are kind of like when you take a cutout and then you just sort of like insert another layer within it. So I'm gonna do a quick demo of what a clipping mask can do. So anything that's indented, you see this little arrow, that means it's bound to the shape. So this particular shape has like properties of like, anything that you color inside and outside will stay within that shape if you clip a layer into it. So for instance, if I have something yellow, I want to like start coloring in this frame right here. It's very convenient because like what if you accidentally color outside, you're still maintaining the shape.
There you go.
Super cool, super useful.
For people that can't color in the lines.
Yeah. Once you have
like
that perfect shape, right? You don't want to like just destroy your shape. You kind of want to keep it.
Nice.
Yeah. Now,
It's a solid tool.
super solid. I use it all the time. I can't live without it. I was super happy when Procreate finally updated it with clipping mask. It didn't have it before. It was torturous, but I still, I still went through it. I was still loyal to Procreate to play around with it. Now that we discovered like two methods of coloring, there are different ways on how the advantages and disadvantages they have. There is the one where when you're going in between frames and scrubbing back and forth, the thing about that is when we're working back and forth, that's part of animating because you're looking at the motion because you're trying to capture that.
Right.
But the one good thing about the clipping mask method of coloring is that you get to work directly on the layer already. But if I scrub to that first one that I grouped, I'm trying to work on that, but I'm trying to color it orange, this thing pops up. And that interrupts my workflow, and I hate that. It irks me when something interrupts my workflow.
Absolutely.
And it just, yeah.
Go ahead, you keep talking.
So what happens is you kind of have to tap in, open the layer, and then select the layer, and then work on that layer. Then you can start coloring in. Versus like if with the clipping mask method, I tap over here, I could just directly start working right away without worrying anything about like, tapping through the layer panels, finding the layer that you had to color. So what really happens is when you select the frame right here, the first layer of the frame is selected. Anything else above it, to me, is a guide. So this is where I actually start coloring. Now, another thing I can do is like, since I want to maintain the shape and then I don't want to accidentally color out of the shape, you can tap over here and alpha lock. So this shape now will stay locked and you can't color outside the shape. So it's very tedious, but I found that this method is the way to like sort of go through everything and you just go through a methodical method to color and fill in all your sketches after you have that nice animated sketch. So right now I'm gonna go through and just like fill in all the red. And clip it.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Yeah, so now we're just going through the tedious process of just like filling in everything.
Oh, nice.
It's always fun to like, it's kind of nice just to like, after you have a nice sketch, you could just think about, you don't have to worry about too much anymore. The coloring part is the most tedious part.
Relaxing, right?
Yeah, it's quite relaxing, and then you're just making sure that everything is in order.
Um, so I have some questions that maybe some people want to figure out. Is how do you deal with how do you personally deal with an artist block?
Ooh,
It's a classic question, I know.
very classic question.
But I like to figure out how everybody does it.
So personally for me, like it depends on like what kind of artist block. Let's say it's a personal one where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of blocked from just creating more personal work. I definitely step away from doing art for a second because like you might be creatively exhausted in the first place.
The juice.
If it's at work, you kind of have to power through it. Like for me, I worked on a cooking game for a long time. I had to draw a lot of food items, and you could only draw so many potatoes and sausages and pickles, various ways, right? So it was a slog, but then you just find little things within work to make it interesting. And like, I didn't know about this sort of potato or that potato, and then you just find all these sorts of different potatoes.
What's your favorite type of potato?
Probably Yukon.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And it's tough. Artist block is a real thing, but you definitely need to find balance between your life to just work through these slogs. And as a working commercial artist versus like my personal work, I treat my commercial art or the gaming field that I'm working in as a job. So it's a professional thing to do to like be able to deliver quality work for your studio. But for personal art, it's more of a personal journey and sort of a creative, like just a recharge from the slog that I usually go through at work. And it's been fun. Like you get to explore. You're creating for yourself. You don't have to like follow a prompt or like specific specific potatoes or like sausages. Like I draw whatever the hell I want.
Our man Justin has another question for you.
Yeah.
He's wondering if this is the same process you used in all of the earlier examples, starting with the animated sketch or drawing and then painting, or in some of those examples, did you start painting first and then add the animating elements afterwards?
Yeah. I definitely go through back and forth. So I could show real quick. For instance, the bus sketches, obviously I had to like sketch on location these people and just really capture them at the moment. And I also think about how I'm capturing them. So what happens is I'm separating background, which is like what we showed earlier with the background layer, and foreground elements too. And then in between I have my character. So I kind of separate with layers on how I want to capture these things in prep for animation in the future. Another method is like, let's say I do like only had time and I only just made everything flat. I duplicate some of these layers and just sort of just lasso out and cut out carefully, of course. But cut out elements within my illustration that I do want to animate, so that I could bring it to that sort of like middle between background and foreground within the animation timeline.
Nice.
At times, since I'm learning how to animate even more, I'm going through sketching. So like, I'm still beginning to learn how to animate things. So one great way to learn how to learn these animation principles is to like practice animating with just lines. Of course, sometimes you have certain things that you want to animate, like rain or something quick. These are fairly simple to do that I didn't really have to think too much about. If I turn off this layer right here, and then let's darken this real quick, you can kind of see I just animated this rain element.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then it's honestly very simple because it was just like 3 frames of like these raindrops. And when you play it fast enough, like at 12 frames per second, it sort of just gives that illusion of rain.
All right.
But I definitely, I was animating on top of the illustration I did, and you can see it's flat already right there. So hopefully that answers some questions right there.
Sweet. Thanks for another question, Justin. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is why we're here again, guys.
So feel free to ask anything. It could be just about art or just even art careers or anything personal if you want.
Yeah. We're just trying to help everybody out.
Yeah.
I actually met Frank because we used to run a portrait night back when, pre-pandemic, I guess that's the way to say it. Because there's the practicing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of training and practicing and drawing from real life, and it's just kind of what we do.
Yeah, and then as artists, like I highly encourage drawing from life instead of just photographs, because on the photo, there's so many things that you can't see when you see it from life.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this dimensionality to it, but photo is kind of like when you look at a camera, you're adjusting a lens or anything like that. It kind of flattens things out. It blows out lights, and versus like what you see with your naked eye is different from what you see from a photograph.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I've been running portrait night for like a little bit, and I'm attending these portrait nights. And I was fortunate enough to meet Rob, who definitely had similar interest in wanting to like paint from life and sort of just create this little art community locally here in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, man. Like providing, whether it be classes, tools, these talks, just stuff to help artists or people that want to like go and pursue art and just help making everybody better, like really, really trying to cut the what am I trying to say? Cut the time on like the things that we've learned that we've picked up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trial and error for a lot of us. I know Frank's caught like, you just take little tidbits from different artists that we look up to, and then you try to incorporate it in your own work. So if we can try to cut that down so we can help artists get better faster.
Yeah, just kind of work through those frustrations, right?
Yeah,
like,
man.
You definitely learn a lot through frustration, but what if you're stuck? And then, like, if you're stuck by yourself, it's very infuriating.
You
can't really do
island.
anything. Yeah, and art, sometimes of it is a very solitary pursuit. Mm-hmm. But for me, like, I do like hanging out with other artists. A little bit about me is, like, I was a science major. I studied engineering. But I always liked doing art. And it took a while for me to start making new art friends. And it was really cool once I started making art friends. Because it's an interest, a shared common interest that everybody has that I could talk hours with you about. Talking shop about art is like one of the most favorite things for me to
all
do.
the time.
Yeah.
It's so great.
It's like sometimes, my girlfriend gets kind of irritated, like, oh, you're still talking about art? Like, yeah. Like, what are you doing? Just hanging on Zoom right now, talking art. I'm like, well, that's what I love to do.
Yeah, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Mikey would like to say thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks, Mikey.
Shabbat Shaboom says this is very useful. You should offer more of these workshops.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps a workshop on portrait, mural designs, etc. would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like, I love to hear about other artists, their workflows and stuff like that. Because, like, it gains a little insight on, like, what they're thinking, how they're creating these things.
Absolutely.
And it's especially, like, it's just, like, revealing. You know that show where you're just like, oh, the magician's secret? You kind of just reveal a little bit of that magic.
Yeah.
And it seems approachable for people who want to, like, pursue art.
Right.
Because a lot of people just assume this is just, oh, you're so talented. Oh, you're born with it. But
practice.
It's a lot of practice.
It's all practice.
Yeah.
Mikey would like to know if you start from paper anymore, or do you start on the pad now since you have access to that all the time?
I actually I still have sketchbooks. I still paint traditionally. So, like, I still like that raw, visceral feel of, like, sketching on paper. Yeah. Or, like, painting with a brush with actual oil paints.
And the stakes are just higher, so, like, you kind of turn on, right? Like, that hard medium it's hard to replace that.
Yeah.
But the iPad, really, the practice does translate really well. Obviously, it can never replace, but getting concepts out, if you're trying to, like, figure something out, it's a really useful tool, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's a tool. So
yeah, as a tool, like, you learn it in a different way because, like, the principles are still the same. The things that you're doing is still the same. It's just, like, you're learning the tool itself. And when you're creating art, one great thing about being an artist, you get to experience different mediums if you want to explore outside your comfort zone,
Absolutely.
right? And I've learned so much through just like tackling watercolor or going into gouache. But like my comfort zone is still oil painting and digital painting. But once I start like tackling into those mediums, it's like I'm being a beginner all over again. And then when you're in that beginner mindset, you're more incentivized to grow and learn and actually have those frustrations again.
Absolutely.
And then you can reconnect with your community, with those other experts. Like there are so many experts out there, professionals who are great at specific things, and you get to like learn from them.
Yep.
And it really is humbling, because like as an artist, my philosophy is always be hungry, always be a student. Yeah, if you're complacent about where your art is, it kind of kills that creativity for me personally. I don't know about you, but like that's just one of those things that I'm like, as an artist, there's always something to learn. I'm always hungry to learn something.
You're never always hungry, stay hungry.
Hence me learning animation. And I'm just sharing with you guys like what I discovered through learning how to animate, because I don't really animate at work. This is more of a hobby. It's fun to pick up an art hobby. It doesn't matter like if you're great at it or not. It's just something to just do. And then honestly, to me, art is just about creating and just like communicating through that and just having fun with it.
Absolutely.
And of course, it could be a very powerful thing to like just express whatever you have to say through art. Be it a cute little flame or something like impactful, like in activism, like political circles. Art
voice.
is a way to communicate through the barriers of different languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say it better than that. You nailed it. Let's see. So we're coming up on, we have like, what, 8 more minutes left?
Yeah, so this is kind of like the workflow that we've gone through, right? So we got this little colored in flame.
I'm asking, let me know. But yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Right?
Yeah.
Now we're going to do that little cooking show trick where I had something in the oven.
Oh.
Yeah. And then this is something that I just worked on, same sketch, sort of just went through the flame.
See the finished product. Hey.
It's not perfect, but it was something that was just really fun to like play around. Obviously, you have like all these different layer modes that you can do, a lot of things that you can go through. But yeah, so once again, just like, was it Mikey who brought up like the padding thing, or?
Which padding thing?
Oh, the guides, setting up the guides in the foreground.
That was Justin.
Oh yeah, Justin. Yeah, sorry, Justin. It was like, this is something that I did for the Ember pads, where like you can kind of see it follows through the path that I created for them. A little guide right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's nifty.
And then as soon as I turn it off, then it could just play through.
Actually,
and it kind of follows snakes through.
Wow.
So
yeah, Amy also says that it looks so beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Amy.
That was,
yeah.
you know.
And it's just really, it's satisfying like once you finish something and it's moving and you can post it on Instagram, whatever. But like for me, the personal
satisfaction is just like, I learned a little bit something today. How to animate fire. It's not perfect, but it's a starting point for me. And
absolutely.
Seeing like, you know,
get past
things
those
move.
middle school flames.
Yeah,
you know, those the classic.
And I just loved like, I didn't get to do make a campfire this time because, you know, it's fire season for camping. So I just had to create a virtual flame for myself and
I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm
get
glad you
that
followed
sort
the
of
rules.
camping experience.
Yeah, California thanks you for.
Yeah.
We don't need any help with that.
No.
So what are your favorite brushes to use?
Oh, yeah. So I do have a bunch of brushes that I've created and also like shared throughout, you know, different artists. But I have a sketching sort of brush that I call Scratchy Sketch. I think of it like a pencil that's kind of broken off the tip. And you kind of have that lead that's kind of
like
scratchy.
Loose?
Yeah, and loose. So let's go through some brushes. And of course, all these brushes right now are available for free on my Instagram story. You can find it through Gumroad.
Oh.
So I think you guys will have a link.
We're isn't able to make the link, unfortunately,
but if you find me on
Instagram,
here.
write it on. Let's see that pen. That
Art of Lei. You can find me on Instagram over here.
At Art of Lei.
Yeah.
I'll even type it here. At Art of Lei. There you go.
And over there, you'll see some of my animation, some work, but also brushes that I use on Procreate that you guys just get for free today.
Which are amazing, by the way. They're great. He's been creating brushes for a while now, and you've really honed down on it. Like,
yeah, there's just like certain styles that I'm like, I really like the loose painterliness of like some of these sketches that I have and these brushes. But like the thing about these brushes is like there's a little bit something for everyone. So that's the great thing. And I shared some of my favorite ones with people, and yeah, hopefully, you know, you'll find your little favorite brush, and then you could just sort of tweak it however you like, and just, yeah, it creates opportunities and new tools for you to explore and create new things.
hell yeah.
Right? So like you found that like when you used chalky sketch or bristly brush?
There was chalky sketch, and then there's like your oil paint brush, which I like. I think that's still my favorite brush, is the oil paint hard and soft.
Yeah.
Just because it feels really like it feels like I'm kind of painting, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So like,
Chalky's good too, though.
Yeah, chalky's good. Oil paint is
good.
actually something that I took from the Procreate like original brush and just tweaked it a little bit to suit my needs. And I encourage people to like dig through and then go through like brush settings and just like sort of explore every single thing if you have the time. I'm more of a tinkerer myself, so I love just going through everything and seeing what it does. And it really just helps you learn the tools and utilize it to the best of your ability.
Fantastic. Hell yeah. Let's see, we have like 3 more minutes,
so if there's any questions
or anything,
we're just gonna chill for a little bit, because it's been a long time since I hung out with Rob in person. It's been great.
Dude, I know, man.
I do miss this guy
really
right
nice,
now.
dude. I miss it so much.
Yeah, we still hang out on Zoom once in a while.
Yeah,
right?
we do a little. I call it a create and kick it, where it's just artists come. We have a little Zoom thing. Everybody has a different project we're working on, and we kind of just hang back and just talk shop, ask each other, throw each other's work around, get some fresh eyes on it. Really encourage, and it's something that I've been actually actively working on, to put your work out there. I know it's very personal, it's really hard for me, but ask for some feedback, because that looks great is an awesome comment and we all love hearing it, but to me the most valuable is critical feedback, because we can always get better. So yeah, ask your artist peers, what do you think about this, you know?
Another thing I hang out over is at Warrior Painters. They have a Discord that I hang out with, and then there's a lot of art Discords that you can hang out during this pandemic when you're feeling kind of lonely creating art.
Totally.
I've discovered Discord myself recently to like just hang out with other artists, find these communities out there, and they're very friendly, and they just want to just help out and hang out with everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm constantly saying it's further together, you know?
Yeah.
Like really, it takes a village. It takes a community.
Yeah.
Justin said the demo was great. Thanks so much. I'm glad.
Thanks.
Honestly.
No, I'm grateful for this opportunity just to share like whatever I kind of know, but it's been really fun just hanging out and just talking shop. Like,
yeah, dude.
Usual. It's like
rad.
always the best time for me is to talk shop about art and share what I do know, and then like hopefully it'll spark some interest for other people in the future to create more.
Great.
Yeah, thanks
Hell
a
yeah.
lot, man.
Dude, thanks for being here, man. We really do appreciate it. I'll see you on a Zoom call on Wednesday.
Yeah, for sure. I'll catch you over there.
All right. So you're good. I'm gonna I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'll hop off and then.